The Christian Fascist Party's top congressional leaders, the ones that still consider themselves, they still use the moniker Republican. They're not. They were all missing from yesterday's commemoration events at the Capitol. Did you notice that? This cowardly little prick, Kevin McCarthy, who claims to be the House Minority Leader, and all indicators show that he has a very good chance of becoming the House Majority Leader after this November election coming up. That depends on you and me, I guess, and how willing we are to resist by any means necessary to stop these Christian fascists from so engineering the mechanics of an election that some piece of human waste like Kevin McCarthy would wind up as House Majority Leader. But he was nowhere to be seen yesterday. And he didn't issue a statement. I mean, can you see, this is the part that makes me use the F word and scream and curse and get all upset. These son of a bitches, they're supposed to be Americans. I don't think they are. I think they're under the thrall of some foreign dictator someplace. These are supposed to be Americans, and they don't even open their fucking mouths to say anything about the one-year commemoration of an assault on this country more serious than any since the War of 1812, and they just sit there? You dirty bastards. And then Mitch McConnell. Some people say, well, Malloy, a lot of them were in Atlanta for the funeral of former Senator Johnny Isakson, who recently passed here. And I knew Johnny Isakson, yes, and I liked him. I knew him when he was a member of the Georgia House, going back years and years and years and years and years and years. He was a member of the Georgia House and the Georgia Senate, and then the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. I think he's the only member of the U.S. Congress who ever did that. And I like Johnny Isakson. I did. He was the type of Republican back in the day that you may have some fundamental differences with, but you knew that you could talk to Johnny Isakson and he would give a little, you would give a little, and the governing of this country would continue appropriately. He was not a Christian fascist. He was a Christian, but he wasn't a Christian fascist. So a lot of these scum-sucking Republicans, so-called, say, well, we were down in Atlanta for the funeral. We couldn't be here, which is bullshit. They could have issued a statement, right? And during that moment of silence held in honor of the law enforcement officers, the ones who were injured, the ones who committed suicide, the ones who died, only 2 Republicans were present in the House chamber. Liz Cheney and her father, the war criminal Dick Cheney. And in a statement, McConnell did call January 6th, quote, a dark day for Congress in our country, after the seat of the first branch of our federal government was stormed by criminals who brutalized police officers and used force to try to stop Congress from doing its job. Oh, for Christ's sake, I could have written that. And I'm not the Senate Minority Leader, am I? But in addition to his little milquetoasty statement, the turtle also criticized Democrats for what he said was their politicization of the attack. He said this, too, quote, it has been stunning to see some Washington Democrats try to exploit this anniversary to advance partisan policy goals that long predated this event, end quote. Oh, go fucking choke to death, will you, turtle? Jesus, God, these people. Now, remember what the turtle said a year ago. Here's what he said a year ago, quote, there's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it. It was a disgraceful dereliction of duty, end quote. So what did he say yesterday, the turtle? Well, the Democrats are trying to politicize it. And then Lindsey Jerkoff Graham, oh my God, the senator from South Carolina, who I don't know. I think he has had or wants to have sex with the orange vomit. The way he fawns over him, it's unbelievable. He's like somebody who's saying, please notice me. Please take me to bed. Please let me be your sex partner. Please, I'll do anything. Please, please. But you remember what he said a year ago, his denunciation of Trump immediately following the attack. Remember the scene? There was old Lindsey in the Senate chamber, looking this way and looking that way, holding the microphone in his hand, looking like he was being pursued by demons when he said, quote, all I can say is count me out. Enough is enough. That was then. This is now. Trump summoned him to Mar-a-Lago and did something to Lindsey Graham, or threatened him with something, because almost immediately Lindsey Graham became another first-class sycophant for this sick son of a bitch, Donald Trump. Yesterday, however, old Lindsey marked the occasion with a mix of shock and the typical partisan attack. He said this, quote, I still cannot believe that a mob was able to take over the United States Capitol during a pivotal moment, certifying a presidential election. It would have been so easy for terrorists to bootstrap onto this protest and wreak even further destruction on the U.S. Capitol, end quote. Well, you dumb white son of a bitch, what do you think they were if they weren't terrorists? But then he went on to say this. He characterized the speeches by Joe Biden and Vice President Harris at the Capitol as, quote, an effort to resurrect a failed presidency more than making the anniversary of a dark day in American history. Their brazen attempts to use January 6th to support radical election reform and changing the rules of the Senate to accomplish this goal will not succeed, end quote. Radical election reform. This is the mark of a real terrorist, a real tyrant, a real Nazi, is to stand there and accuse your opponent who's trying to resist what you are doing, accuse your opponent of doing what you are in fact doing. It's the oldest trick in the book. And because we have a vast collection of ignorant assholes in this country, a lot of people listen to Lindsey Graham and go, yeah, well, what about that? Huh? What about that? And then Ron DeSantis, who is a Christian fascist, but he's also a gangster. He's just a fucking gangster. He pounced real quickly. He was speaking to reporters in Florida yesterday morning, about the same time Biden was addressing the nation. And the criminal DeSantis slammed the Democrats and the media for making so much of the day. This is what DeSantis said, referring to Democrats and the media, quote, this is their Christmas, July 6th. They're going to take this and milk this for anything they could to try to be able to smear anyone who ever supported Donald Trump, end quote. You pig fucking bastard, you. Unbelievable. But that's DeSantis. What do you expect from a gangster? Mike Pence, the person who stared for 4 years until I thought he was going to go blind from staring at the back of Trump's head or the side of Trump's head with that little Christian suck-ass look on his face of, oh, you are my Messiah. Oh, I love you. I will wash your feet. Will you wash my feet? Mike Pence, who had to flee for his life on January 6th because they were talking about hanging Mike Pence. He didn't release a statement marking the occasion. The vice fucking president of the United States, you Christian lump of shit, you. How could you not even release a statement? Pence has said that he and the orange vomit will likely never, quote, see eye to eye on the events of January 6th, end quote. And he has defended his role that day in rejecting the orange vomit's demands that he overturn the election results. But that was something he didn't have the power to do anyway. I mean, it was the orange vomit who told him to do it. And what's Pence going to say? Hey, Mr. President, by the rules of the U.S. Constitution, I don't have the power to do that. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? So he defends the fact that he didn't do what Trump said, but he doesn't state clearly that he couldn't have anyway. I mean, he could have stood there in the well of the House with the stack of certified votes from the various 50 states, and he could have said, I declare all of this to be fraudulent, and it wouldn't have meant shit. It wouldn't have meant anything. But no, he doesn't do that. He says, tries to paint himself as a hero for doing what he did. And at the same time, this cowardly, gruesome son of a bitch, I swear to God, Mike Pence has always freaked me out. Anyone who can stare at another human being without blinking for 4 fucking years? I mean, that's not human. That's, I don't know, robotic? I don't know what it is. Mike Pence. But he's accused the media of reporting on the attack, not because it was a horrific event, not because it was an historical event, not because anyone involved should be hanged. No. He accuses the media of reporting on the attack to demean, his word, Trump's supporters, and to, quote, distract from the Biden administration's failed agenda, end quote. He said that on the Fox sewer back in October. You rancid son of a bitch, you, Biden, you rancid bastard. Biden's failed agenda is because of Christian fascists in the House and the Senate like you, numbnuts, who are making sure that Biden's agenda fails. God, I hate these people. Oh, and also saying nothing was that bloated, wasted, do you remember this guy, the former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, another fucking mafia wannabe, just like DeSantis? Mike Pompeo, who has been laying the groundwork for a possible 2024 campaign. For what? President? That bloated, arrogant son of a bitch? Where was he yesterday? And Nikki Haley, former governor of South Carolina, daughter of immigrants from India, who should fucking know better. Where was she? She immediately criticized Trump after the insurrection too, but she immediately took it all back. And she has said that she's not going to run on the Republican ticket to be president if her Lord and Master, white man, Donald Trump, chooses to move forward with the comeback campaign that he's been teasing about. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.